All right. Thanks for being here, John. Wait, John? You can't do the Heimer without John. What's going on? Oh, there you are. All right.
Wow, I didn't know you were starting already.
Were you, in the bathroom?
Yes, there's a tree out there.
Okay. All right. Well, as long as you were choosing what you wanted to be doing at that time.
Is what I wanted to be doing at that moment.
Yeah. Like, you can just control everything. Like, just, right?
Yeah,
just
you
do
can
whatever you want.
Yeah. But, well, hold on now. Is your bladder telling you what to do?
Which is a product of nature, right?
Yeah.
Like how we have to hydrate and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so maybe really we're not choosing that.
Yeah.
That's possible. Feels like we could use... I don't know. I'm just not sure I really know much about that. Is this what we're talking about?
Let's talk about free will, yeah.
Free will. Not free willy.
That's what I was doing earlier.
Yeah. Just free will, everybody. Let's not get carried away. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm wondering...
Kind of sounds like it's raining.
Yeah, it seems like it... Well, maybe it stopped for a moment. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe a little drizzly, but yeah. Well, we need to get into this. Hey!
We have a guest.
Look at this.
Hello there.
My little baby nephew. Gosh, there's all sorts of people around. Hey!
Oh,
Look
another
who
one.
he brought with him. There's all sorts of Baileys around here.
Yeah.
All right. So wait a minute. Did you guys choose to come here?
No.
Or did somebody tell you to come here?
I chose. Explicitly told.
So there was some sort of pressure there.
Yeah. Well, we were hoping to kind of figure out what free will means on this episode. What is free will?
What is free
What
will?
is that?
Well, how do you define it currently?
Yeah,
That's what we're asking.
we're asking you guys.
Yeah, we need help.
Means choice.
Choice?
Yeah, you have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose.
Does that include the little things, like I can choose to do that? Or is it mostly about the big things in life?
I think it's mostly about the big things, isn't it? The little things we don't care about that much. They're inconsequential, but the big things
Well,
matter.
can you have free choice for the big things but not the little things? I feel like it's either the whole or none. I mean, maybe the little stuff doesn't matter, but...
Right. Seems like if you're not controlling the little stuff in your life, you probably won't be able to control the big things then. Usually. I don't know.
So if I persuaded you to do something, and then you wanted to do it, is that still your choice? Do you still have free will?
Yeah, you choose to be persuaded, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Having an open mind to, persuasion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's, like, Clark, you're wearing glasses. Do you choose to wear those glasses?
Yes. As far as I know. Yeah, I mean, I could wear contacts.
True.
I feel like I've made the choice to wear glasses instead of contacts. And I think it suits me well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it doesn't come from more of a person-to-person interaction, more than other things that might be a little more higher level, I guess. I feel like someone telling you to do something, and whether you do it or don't do it doesn't necessarily indicate free will on someone's behalf.
Right. I mean, some people make the argument that we don't really have free will. We just think we do because we're choosing from several preordained preordained paths that are in front of us.
Based on what others have said.
Right.
That's in example society. Society says you should do this.
Yeah.
And so you think you have free will because you're going along that path.
Well, does it matter if we think we do or if we actually have it? Like
That's a
reality
great
versus
question.
perception?
Yeah, that's a great
good question.
Yeah. Does it even matter? Well, can you guys think of something you've had total free will on in your lives? Something that you just absolutely just on your own, independently thought up and went for? I don't mean a little thing either. Can you think of a bigger thing that?
Quitting cigarettes.
So why did you quit?
Well, I quit because I didn't want to receive any more grief from my children about
Maybe you had no free will. I don't know. Yeah, no, you did. You'd have to have at least a good chunk of that, right, to quit smoking. Was it hard to quit smoking?
Well, I think I tried more than once to quit smoking, but it was easier to quit smoking after children arrived. So the will to quit was intensified, therefore easier. So I guess motivation is important.
It's kind of one of those like nurture versus nature kind of questions, isn't it? Like, aren't we a
That's
little
kinda
bit of
what I was
the?
thinking.
I'm a teacher like my father, and actually my son, who's doing our production today, is also doing some teaching and interested. Am I teaching because I really that's truly my passion, or is it just kind of what I knew and was comfortable with and was kind of in the family line, and you know what I mean? Like, how much of it is which? I don't know.
So let's say it starts with how you were raised. So nurture. But then it becomes nature because you see this and you see a path for yourself and you like that path. But is that free will?
How are you, Clark, different, wildly different than your father? Name a way that you're very different than your father.
Well, I think our occupation is quite
Yeah.
contrast pretty starkly. I mean, I'm
How's that? Neither one of you work.
Got him.
in that way it doesn't differ very much. Well, in
Just
our
kidding.
theoretical occupation.
I know. I'm just.
Well, in our education, how about that? Nobody can doubt that. We got the diplomas. But yeah, I'd say that's the biggest, like, as far as societal life, kind of big event thing that could be compared is probably the education and path that came out of that. So, like teaching, which is, very creative and socially driven and, societally focused, versus engineering, which is a little more thing focused and a little more reserved in a lot of ways, as far as socially. So I'd say that's probably the biggest difference.
There's just the argument that we're kind of all, that there's sort of these paths are somewhat in front of us already. That, like your father, my brother, is a little bit more different than this guy, our father, because he's the older one. That the younger one sometimes takes on a little bit more of the characteristics. The older one has a little bit more of a need to break away from the family in some little way. It's not very big, but in our family case. But, there's that kind of dynamic in families. Like, you maybe see that in your family in certain ways. Like, I don't know, do you feel like you're like your father?
In some ways, yeah.
Yeah.
But in others, I think I may be the complete opposite. And I think the best way to describe this is that, and maybe I'm more like my mother in some ways then, is because I see my dad as more like an engineer type, and my mother as more of a artist, creative person, right? And so I feel like I have gotten both of those things from them.
It's a great blend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel, John? Do you feel like you have free will as you're hitting your 30s and all? Like, do you feel like you have free will going forward in the years and decades going ahead, or do you feel like that your path is sort of starting to feel a little bit etched in stone and you don't have as much choice as you want?
Great question. So I think within the past couple of years, I've kind of started to realize how much we are all influenced by others' opinions and other people's ideas of what should be and what shouldn't be. And so the more I look into that, the more I see why people believe in certain things. I think the more I'm starting to, I guess, become more free and have more free will because of that. I'm starting to more concentrate on what I want to do than what society is trying to persuade me to do.
Isn't that mostly circumstantial though? Like every situation has a, kind of the clear options ahead, right? That are, whether that's outlined by parents or society or yourself. Like, I feel like it's the society's bounds on what people are supposed to do isn't necessarily a issue of free will, but more of just a situation that has arisen in life rather than...
That's true. Yeah. So we all have been taught the easiest path forward, right? There's hard ways to get to certain goals. So that is true. That's a good point.
Well, we've talked about the father-son or mother-son influence, and that seems pretty important in this discussion. I like that. To me, free will means, well, first of all, the two words freedom or free, being free to choose one's own will is an interesting concept that I've seen in religious areas. So there are some people who believe that the highest form of freedom is to give up your will, is to be obedient to another.
Interesting.
And that other could be God or
country or what?
Could be that too, like in the military.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you give up the individual things and you give up some choices that you make, but in doing that, you enjoy the freedom of not being burdened by choices. For instance, there's a monastery in southern Indiana, and it's full of men who've decided that they are going to be obedient to the abbot of that monastery. And so they give up a lot of things that we all have, personal possessions. And our wills are controlled by our appetites and our desires, and there's no end to those things. And when you give those up, and you give up the pursuit of those things like those guys do, there is a sense, I think, of freedom that they enjoy that maybe we don't so much.
That made me think of, that's a really good point.
That's a great point, yeah.
That gets away from like the dichotomy of yes or no to free will. It's more of expanding the will that you have almost. Or the freedom, I guess, by giving up the will that you have.
You've made a choice, right? You've made a choice to join this belief system.
Yep.
And by doing so, you've expressed your free will to give up what we consider your free will. Because you want to be free of those burdens of having to make all these decisions and what to do next.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of gets into like expectations. And I was thinking about I forget the exact quote, but what Thoreau said about how, what was the famous quote? Something like, I have more by wanting less. A little bit, that kind of thinking that most people can't relate with now. Usually in our society, it's, have more, get more, that kind of mentality.
And then so the way they see it is that you become a slave to your will, to your wants, to your appetites, your desires, they put you in chains.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Wow. Yeah.
So lay people that go there sometimes say to them, gee, how do you do it? And they often turn that right around and say, hey, this is easy for us. We don't understand how you do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe in our all of our individual lives, we're having those wills or those things that we want that we don't need to want, that we could live without, and we could be happier. Maybe we're getting into discussions about happiness then.
There's probably some overlap there.
Yeah.
Because we probably actively do things that make us happy. Or will make us happy in the long term.
Or actively do things that don't make us happy, that we think will make us happy.
Yeah.
But the pursuit of those things, like I think those people would say, is never ending. You never get to everything you want because it's unending.
Right. Like getting a new iPhone every year.
Yeah, right, to make it tangible.
There's always going to be a new one every year.
Yeah, you're always
next year.
behind. Yeah. Or money in general, right?
Right.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah,
That's
keeping
going to
up
make
with
me
the
happy.
Yeah.
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 Because there's never actually any gain to your situation. It's only like keeping with the masses, I guess. Like it's just you're just keeping up. You're always chasing.
Yeah, when a lot of people, I think, get old, not everybody, but people talk about the value of time being more important than money. I think, not everybody, right? So
A limited resource that we all have.
So I'm guessing those monks down there have more time. I don't know. I know they have, their duties and stuff.
Yeah, they have
Projects
duties. They have jobs.
But they might have a number of hours every day to just do whatever they want, too.
Their day is divided up between work, prayer, eating, and rest. And maybe study. Study would probably be part of their day.
I feel like it's missing play.
Uh,
I feel like play is important, but maybe that, I don't know.
They do have play aspects there.
Yeah.
They have a great soccer field.
Uh-huh.
They have I don't know what you call it, a saloon or tavern, a place where they go and they drink beer and have food and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the place that used to be the stables where they keep the horses, that they've named the Unstable.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Is anybody allowed to go there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is St. Meinrad.
Right.
We're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, and there's a guest house there. You can go down, you can get a room, and you can. The monks they work throughout. I mean, it's a college too. I mean, they train people for the ministry to be priests. Used to be a high school, but they don't do high school anymore. So you can get all kinds of degrees there. I'm not sure what. Probably mostly things related to theology, I suppose. So yeah, anyone can go, and I think there's two kinds of monks there. There are people who become priests, and then there are people who don't want to become priests. They're called brothers, and they have the same lifestyle, except they're not. I'm not sure. I don't know if they have to be Catholic or not. I don't think so, technically. Most of them are. But anyhow, you can go to the guest house down there. They have a cafeteria there. You can eat there and stay there and attend their masses
Yeah.
And
So if people choose those kind of things in this world, that's pretty much free will, isn't it? Or do you think, why does a person join a monastery? Is it to be kind of closer to God and to have, or...
My guess is it's for a simple life. It's for a simple life that you have some sort of meaning behind it.
yeah, I think that's probably a pretty good answer to what many of them would say.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good traveling podcast on location.
Yeah. I'll go there with you, John.
That'd be cool. Yeah. So, do you want to have free will?
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
Isn't it easier to just have people tell you what to do and just, or
to
stay
know
in
your
line?
path, right?
Yeah, to know your
You
path.
know the easy path. You can take it.
It's a little torturous to not know. I
You
assume
know-
at like your age, you've got your degree, you know some of the work you can do, but you've really got a wide scope of things
Right.
that could happen in your life. Does that eat at you some, or does that feel empowered? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, for me, I think I definitely see the scope. Oh, I know there's a wide scope. I don't know all the options, but I know every decision I make closes some of those doors,
Yeah.
and it almost certainly doesn't open as many doors as it closes, or at least at the same breadth that it was at. But I think for me, I would not want to have a set path, to be labeled as an engineer when I'm birthed and to know that that's the way that it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I don't know, I think talk to tons of folks who are working in person and all that after COVID, they probably got a taste of not having to do the 9 to 5 and to do that sort of lifestyle, and they probably, a lot of them at least, kind of saw an alternative that, if you had that decided for you, then you would never get to, kind of get out of.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least think that you could get yourself out of that, maybe a life circumstance pulled you out of because it was your destiny to go that direction, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
How about you, Dan? Do you feel free will? Do you feel free? Do you have that free will in your life?
I guess I feel like for the most part I have my will is somewhat free, but you give up the freedom of having your own will when you do things like get married, for instance. When you have children, you really it kind of changes things, and you have to shift your focus goes away from yourself.
Yeah.
And you feel a responsibility to somebody else, and so you try to satisfy their needs instead of your own quite so much. So you might even stay in a job you don't like very much, or with a spouse that maybe you don't get along with so well,
Yeah.
because you think that's the best for children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, since I don't have any kids, my kids are older, I'm free of those constraints. I don't have job constraints anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So
it sounds like people are willing to give up free will if they think it's going to make them happier,
mm-hmm.
or it's going to make life easier.
Mm-hmm. So it's an intentional thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be intentional
You gotta
about
be-
these things. If you just kind of go through life, then life will push you into that track,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
You have to make a decision to retire a little earlier or change, or to not do the kind of engineering your degree exactly specifies or whatever.
Yeah. I wonder about hermits. I mean, hermits in the true sense, people that just, maybe like Thoreau somewhat,
Yeah.
and other people like that just go off and separate from society and those responsibilities encumberments.
Sounds like we need to get a hermit on here.
Well, we could probably find
one?
Maybe
A couple
Some
wandering around.
urban ones. Yeah, it's urban. They don't call themselves that. I don't think. But.
Well, that's a good place to end things.
Yeah. Actually, can we go 5 more seconds?
Yes, do it.
I've got nothing to say. I just kind of wanted that control.
That freedom to
I just wanted to
exercise your will.
Okay. No, I'm just sorry, John.
No.
That's great.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
That's great.
Good.
Yeah.
Great insight on the whole monk thing and giving up your free will. That really made me think hard.
Yeah. Still got me thinking.
I still think the next week I'll
this is going to take a long while to sort through.
process that one.
Yeah. All right. Well, we want to thank, of course, Schmidt, our producer, all the people that make food behind the scenes, probably making those vegan chocolate cookies right now. Hopefully.
Yep.
Producers,
technology staff,
our YouTube family,
marketing team,
whoever's working on the T-shirts.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Right, thank you.
Okay.